300ths down himself. Can you imagine if Rossi was to take pole position here? And he's closing as well.
This could be the 52.
Wow, let's see. Is this going to be the first 52 around Qatar? Across the line for the Italian.
He's
He does it! He does it, and Rossi goes on the front row as well.
Unbelievable. What a lap time by Pecco Bagnaia. He's absolutely smashed it in the 52s. A 1:52.77.
So, yeah, all to play for, and yeah, it's hard to look outside Joan and possibly Miguel Oliveira if I had to go for
Now, really, from Joan Zarco. Just very quickly, would you think there was a tailwind behind the suddenly saying that?
Possibly, yeah. I think there could be whatever the wind show. It's such a head of steam.
Plenty to talk about in this, our very first.
Towards our first qualifying session of the year. Of course, this is Q session. We find not only all of those KTMs, but we find the world champion Joan Mir, who has a job which has been not too shabby in terms of setting a lap. Miguel Oliveira has just gone fast in that previous session then.
Down to business, wanting to get the heat into those tyres, and I think he wants to get that clear track ahead of him and just crack on as rookies. The first ever MotoGP qualifying, their adrenaline will be pumping.
You know, they're not shy riders. His work cut out if he wants to go on into that Q2 session at the end of this one. And what we have found,
obviously they want to change the motorcycle so they can improve the one lap pace, but what they don't want that to do is to affect their an abrasive track. When other manufacturers seem to be struggling with grip near to the end of the race, the Suzuki's the bike to be on. But then that's, well, obviously we're going to guess, but I'm going to go with Mir. Mir's definitely going to go through, I'd say. And then the second one's a guess, so I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to go for. How about yourself?
it's hard to look beyond Joan Mir, isn't it, in this kind of situation, but it is going to be the fastest KTM on a one-off lap. Oliveira is the one who has that little bit more pace. If you notice I'm avoiding the question, well, just in some ways, wouldn't you? But being sporting about it, if you've gone with Mir and Oliveira, shall we go for Jorge Martin? That's what it's all about. We're here to have fun, aren't we? It's our first qualifying session of the season in MotoGP.
And Jorge Martin.
3.8 from Jorge Martin. In testing, his best lap was a 54.4. When he was young, he's watched Marc Marquez, isn't it? And he said, that's how I've got to ride a bike, and I'm going to do it from being a young rider. Here, quick through the second sector, a quarter of a second underneath as we head up through that fast left-hander, now into the little chunk of time on the Ducati of Jorge Martin's time. That's what his .316 is under over the years. Sebastian Porto, the calibre that he battled with when he was a racer.
Only the crew chief says, yeah, no problem, we'll talk about that afterwards. Like, you just focus now on getting the most out of the bike. It's true, though.
Yeah, great. Sure. Almost not listening. Right, here is Jorge Martin going out his team way because Zarco was second fastest earlier on. He was fourth overnight. Zarco looks the real deal on the Pramac. The factory supported pretty much, aren't they, in this field now?
Yep.
Which is great, isn't it? That's why we're getting such tight. Team gets a fixed amount from Dorna, over €2 million, €2.5 million per rider, and the bikes are capped also. So it's a deal's done there. So everything on top then is sponsors you can bring in to pay for
light advantage over the 2 or 3 riders behind him. So he has to go faster, otherwise he's already thinking, I'm not going to end up going through it.
In a 358.8, that is the second fastest speed ever in MotoGP, and that's in a Q1. But Jorge Martin's clocked already in this Q1 session as we go on board on a Ducati, now having to learn a new bike at a track that doesn't really work favourably for the KTM.
Like at all yet as well, you can see it's not quite working for him. It looks a little bit stiff.
He looks like he's sat on top of it,
yeah,
and that's
not
all
in it.
Because people at home scratching their heads thinking, what is he on about? Well, Enea Bastianini's on about something. 137 down. Brad Binder is up though in the third sector, so he's just behind Bastianini on track. Got a lovely marker. 2-2. We go on board with the Moto2 world champion. Just over a minute to go in this Q1 session. In the top spot from the world champion Joan Mir, and another rookie just in behind him. Mir
is not on a good lap.
He's not, but Bradler's gone quick through the first sector.
Mir has made up some time through sector 3. He's made up 0.2 of a second where we
and he's not
on a Ducati.
He's only got a 10 in his pocket, hasn't he, over Enea Bastianini. Here we come then, the world champion, number 36. Yes, he will get one more go at it. right at the business end of this Q1 session. Now Bastianini is really in a corner for the German rider. On board with Bastianini, still in touching distance. You think Bastianini will probably take over at the top, but takes the checker flag. It's not going to be enough because Oliveira goes ahead of him and into 5th place. So that's the best we're going to get from the KTM of Oliveira. At time this time, 300s out. Bastianini, oh, and that's Martin.
Martin
has gone down.
He's on a great lap.
And we're on the Honda. He was the pole sitter, of course, when we were in Aragon earlier on in 5 from Taka Nakagami. Lucio Cecchinello will be pleased at that one. Nakagami's Gami, but he'll look up and see it doesn't matter. He's already gone through. He's got through by the skin of his teeth. 5,000.
He was halfway around. He was up on his own time. Let's look what happened. Oh, it's a fast corner.
It is in here.
Into 11.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So it went graceful, and it went quite late actually. I didn't expect it. You don't see a lot of people took the front there.
Row of the year, but still there's another 15 minutes to come.
Yeah. I was just thinking then though, it's going to work out good for Nakagami. I mean, yesterday's fastest time was a 54.1, so he's found a chunk of time there.
That would have put him 4th fastest.
Champion, but it wasn't to be. Jarmir made it stick, and Taka Nakagami going through Michael Lur. But bodes well for those rookies. Gibbs that as well, his teammate, but looking very strong. Alex Rins, maybe not for the pole, but all of them going out to try and get a front or a second row start here.
This year, the last race we had here, the podium, none of them are on the grid this weekend. So, yeah, I think Alex will be feeling good for the race tomorrow. But
this is going to have some fireworks, I think, don't you, Gav?
Absolutely, fireworks would look great, wouldn't they, in the night sky of GP World Championship. Of course, we didn't have a MotoGP race at this track last year, but the last time we came here for row, heading it was Jack Miller, and on his debut, Fabio Quartararo. Those 3 names there, Vinales, Miller, Quartararo.
Like, but Maverick does go well around here, and then went, well, but then the Ducatis are going to go well. And then I went, oh, what about Aleix? Oh.
I said Zarco, didn't I, yesterday, so I'm going to stick with my Johan Zarco to cause a bit of a support that he's got capability, and he does like this racetrack, and has just set a new top speed record of 225.
Yeah.
Who pulled out of that one behind him. We haven't mentioned Pecco Bagnaia in any of this either, so yeah, it's a tough.
Aggressive Paul. It grabs the front brake. He doesn't squeeze the front brake. Doesn't apply it slowly. Just grabs.
Syrian Grand Prix in Austria and in Valencia, and the European Grand Prix.
He's got a great target, and that's why he's been incredible.
Was great last year, wasn't he, in terms of qualifying? He had, apart from testing, but during a race weekend, Pecco Bagnaia, a new goes up into 2nd spot, 3/10 down on Bagnaia, but that's a decent lap as an early marker for Aleix Vinales. Pole last time we came here in MotoGP, he's in 3rd spot. Did I discount Frankie Morbidelli beforehand?
You did too.
And this is our opening Grand Prix of the season. We've got 19 currently in the schedule. We can't pick cracker.
What I have noticed with Morbidelli, he has worked the whole weekend on his race pace, using old type
time in the last sector, as we've seen on that Yamaha throughout the weekend. But he is Mr. Metronome, is Franco Morbidelli, and Buddy Valentino Rossi following him, but he's not to be. Coming down the home straight now for Miller, 53.21 pickup, or will he lose coming through? So Aleix Espargaro comes across the line now, improves his time, but he's down in. That's the fastest ever lap we've seen of the Losail circuit. And Maverick Vinales slots himself onto the front row, pushing on.
And you've got a feeling they are going to go quicker, because normally I'd probably say, well, 8 times out of 10, there'll be certain areas on the track that he knows he can improve. So I can't believe how fast that is. Like you say, it's faster than
a little bit, and tyres are taking a development route that maybe suits those Yamahas that little bit more, but half a second. Going to take first blood here in MotoGP. Frankie Morbidelli, 2nd row. I think he'd be pleased with that one.
Certainly against the Ducatis with their.
The only thing for me is the speed differential for that older bike. 157.6 km/h. That's 222.2 miles per hour for Jack Miller. Meanwhile, Frankie Morbidelli, I love this little part in qualifying when everyone's back in the pits and a silence descends over brake disc underneath the lights. You can just see them glowing because he's having that much brake, and those
in this session. That was a 53 flat from Quartararo. I'm convinced someone's going to go faster.
They were saying Rossi 11th, Pol Espargaro 12th, with Nakagami joining them on the 3rd row of the grid as things stand. The 2 Suzukis, we mentioned it, the podium finishes in that race, Dovi, Marquez and Crutchlow. none of them are here anymore.
Very
We're
first
thinking at the
race.
time, hey, Suzuki's are back.
Yeah.
And that was the year Alex Rins went on to win a couple of races, and you thought it might...
Stamp his authority on his teammate. He wants to take back the lead role as being the #1 rider in that Suzuki. If he can get that perfect lap together, we can find it. It's possible. It's got to be clean. You've got to use the advantages of that clean out of that corner as you can. Get tucked in through the gearbox. Perfect gear changes.
Miles an hour for him down the front straight, but that's still a huge differential if you think about it in comparison to the Ducatis. It's going to be Maverick, once of us. Who knows when Marc Marquez will be back, but he's back to a different world of MotoGP when he comes. And it's true, and there were some people who didn't win races last year who will fancy they can do it this year. Your Jack Millers, your Peck
Races. Rossi obviously believes he can win races. None of them won races last year, so the way it's going, Aleix Espargaro.
Serious race pace in this one. A minute and a half to go. Pecco Bagnaia is up in sector Rossi's academy. We're going to watch Vinales through that final corner. Looked like a really good third sector, but it's this one where it might cost him. Pecco Bagnaia, first of all, we're going to be looking at Valentino Rossi. Right in behind him is also looking at a spot on the international circuit as he comes across the line. He is, and he does hugely. A 152.7. Davide Tardozzi. Yes, it did. Rossi's on the front row.
That's
on the satellite bike.
I mean, we've not really talked about him this weekend, have we?
On the front row of the grid, there's no way, surely, he can be making up that kind of gap to the Ducati at the front. There's sadly indeed for Fabio Quartararo. They have timed it completely wrong, and the factory Yamaha team
split. It's about less than a tenth down.
Maverick Vinales, if he can find something, I just can't see him doing it in this last second. He's replaced Rossi on the front row of the grid. So Valentino Rossi not back. I don't think Rossi would be too disappointed to be making up the time to Bagnaia. No. He nailed that lap. He's 2 tenths. In fact, he is a quarter of a second. So I've got a feeling he's going to be on row 4. Aleix Espargaro still on his final flying lap. His time on with Jack Miller. No, Jack's not got it. Zarco does replace Morbidelli on the second row of the grid, which pushes Mir right back to watch.
Yep.
And Pecco Bagnaia, the Italian, in the factory Ducati team. Could it be? First ever pole position in the Premier class for Pecco. Delight for Ducati. Pecco's on pole. There was delight down at Petronas too, though, because Valentino...
I mean, no one expected Rossi to qualify in front of Frankie Morbidelli, did they?
No, not at all. 3 Ducatis, 3 Yamahas. It's Pol Espargaro trying to get the launch device fit on the front. You just saw at the front.
That they've only got the rear device. But what's interesting, when you're seeing these people try and get the front...
Second run there.
That was an opportunity miss, wasn't it, for him to get pole position?
Do you think he could have found another quarter of a second?
Oh, this is good for us, and just congratulate the team that at the end we found a good bike and we are ready for tomorrow.
Great job, Maverick.
Thank you.
Been in the qualifying, so now it's just missing the race, so can't wait.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Because I think that we can make a really great result tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really quite extraordinary, and then it's Valentino Rossi to help them say thanks for the tow. Grazie mille. In terms of
Halo guys, selamat datang kembali di channel Nep Media. Berita MotoGP yang kami sajikan hari ini: hasil kualifikasi MotoGP Qatar 2021. Francesco Bagnaia berhasil merebut pole position. Sementara itu, pembalap Petronas Yamaha SRT Valentino Rossi berhasil merebut posisi keempat. Bagaimana berita selengkapnya? Langsung saja simak berita MotoGP berikut ini. Pembalap Ducati Francesco Bagnaia tampil gemilang untuk merebut pole position di kualifikasi MotoGP Qatar 2021. Sementara debut Valentino Rossi di Petronas Yamaha SRT dimulai dari posisi keempat. Pada 5 menit pertama sesi Q2 di sirkuit Losail Qatar, Minggu 28 Maret 2021 dini hari waktu Indonesia Barat, Francesco Bagnaia langsung tancap gas untuk menempati posisi teratas diikuti Fabio Quartararo, Maverick Vinales, dan Alex Espargaro. Sementara itu, juara dunia Joan Mir berhasil melewati Q1 untuk bisa tampil di sesi kedua. Akan tetapi, performa rider Suzuki itu terbilang belum mantap sejauh ini di seri pertama. Setelah itu terjadi salib menyalip catatan waktu antara Quartararo, Maverick Viñales, Franco Morbidelli, dan Jack Miller. Jack Miller sempat merebut posisi terdepan sebelum Quartararo merebutnya di sisa 3 menit kualifikasi. Fabio Quartararo disusul Jack Miller dan Viñales yang berupaya merebut posisi terdepan di sisa menit kualifikasi. Sementara itu, Pecco Bagnaia mencoba menajamkan waktunya untuk bisa merebut posisi pertama dan berhasil melakukannya. Kejutan juga terjadi ketika Valentino Rossi sukses menyalip ke posisi ketiga di bawah semenit sisa waktu kualifikasi. Akan tetapi, Valentino Rossi cuma bertahan sebentar karena Viñales mampu merebut posisi start ketiga di akhir kualifikasi. Pada akhirnya, Pecco Bagnaia mampu meraih pole position dengan 1 menit 52,772 detik. Rekor terbaik di sirkuit ini. Duo monster Yamaha Fabio Quartararo dan Maverick Viñales harus puas start dari posisi kedua serta ketiga. Valentino Rossi akan melakoni balapan debutnya bareng Petronas Yamaha SRT di posisi keempat disusul Jack Miller, Johan Zarco, Morbidelli, Alex Espargaro, Alex Rins, dan juara dunia Joan Mir melengkapi posisi 10 besar. Berikut hasil kualifikasi MotoGP Qatar 2021 yang bisa kalian simak ya guys.